Hi guys, and welcome back. I'm Tyler, and this is my tabletop. Today we are working on the final assembly for TTCombat's Rural Village box. We are working on the chapel, which is 033, if you're following along with the instructions. And this is a big one. Like the hotel, I'm gonna struggle a little bit keeping the piece in camera. The kit is fairly large. And so we are getting started with step one. And this this particular video is a comedy of errors. I fight with, instead of getting better at putting these things together as time has gone on, I managed to do the worst job of putting things together for this one. The tongue and grooves were tight in some places and very loose in others. You'll see that little chapel annex piece that's bottom right of the screen. It gets attached to the chapel floor in step one, but it's too loose until I start putting walls on, so it's going to keep falling off throughout the video. Um, so you can see me putting aside the door, which I wind up changing my mind about. Come to find out, uh, there's no way for the door to, there's no reason for the door to be removable in this particular set, as you'll see at some point. And eventually I came to that conclusion myself and decided to glue it. Basically, the box, the little room that the door is sitting in, uh, is glued shut, so there's no point. I guess I could have left it open, but um, so while old me is struggling mightily, a lot of my so with I have no issues at all with TTCombat updating their kits without updating their instructions. That's really not that big a deal. It's, for the most part, it's been easy to figure out what was missing. The one problem that I ran into a lot with this particular kit, and that I've found in the other kits, is that their instructions do not uh, delineate between the finished face of the MDF and the unfinished face. Now, with floors that don't have any bells and whistles on them, there's really not that big a difference. And it only matters if the tongue and groove is asymmetric or something like that. But for example, with the door up in the top right, you can see that there's detail burned part way through the wood. It's just a surface feature. And so one side of the door clearly needs to be visible. And so it would be really helpful in their instructions if they showed which face was supposed to be the finished face. So you can see that the tower, there's a little tiny bit of, there is some detail around the window. And so I was trying to I assumed that the tower needed to be finished side out. And I ran into a problem right here, where the tongue and groove didn't line up. I don't know if you can see the, so you can just kind of see the inside edge of the tall piece that I'm trying to attach to. And you may be able to see the mistake I'm making. But I struggle my way through this before eventually deciding that the solution to the fact that the asymmetric tongue and groove is preventing me from attaching it to the wall is to tear the tower apart and glue it so that the finished side is facing in. And I don't know why I decided that this was the solution. This is where my habit of not dry fitting parts. Yeah, so you can see that I'm pointing out that the finished side is now facing in for some reason, and I found that strange, but I didn't solve the problem. As I was saying, the problem I'm running into now is that I am not dry fitting these parts, and it is biting me over and over again. And so this is me trying to put it together. Yep, and now I'm going to put the door in. And then, and then. And then I realized that there was a better solution. A solution that will allow the finished side of all of the tower to be facing the correct direction, outwards, and set the tongue and groove up correctly. So I start trying to quickly disassemble it, because now my penchant for using super glue is working against me. And bang. So you can't see it, and it's probably better that I didn't wind up catching it on camera. I certainly muted myself because I swore pretty heavily. The part exploded. um, there are these long tongue and grooves that wind up becoming decoration on the outside of the chapel. Like ribbing. I can't think of the architectural term. They had dried pretty firmly, and I broke those suckers right off. I cut my hand, and I broke them to pieces in the process of tearing the wall off. I even managed to tear the other wall off, the side that I wasn't trying to mess with. So you can see center of the screen, right in the little box in the middle, part of one of those ribs, which I have torn off. Another part, and I can't remember if I actually pointed out on camera, but it wound up about 10 feet behind me. It is missing in action for the duration of this filming. I wound up finding it and putting it on between when I finished the build on camera and when I did my turntable filming. But I eventually get the wall attached again. I was having a little bit of problem at this point, mostly through my own ineptitude. I couldn't get enough force to attach the tower to the wall, so I took the wall off of the building. I took advantage of the fact that it wasn't glued at the moment, and was able to put some more pressure on it, which obviously you can't see because it's off camera. But I'm currently attaching the tower, and then I will attach the whole wall with the tower. Yep. And it slides on much easier this time because half of the tongue and grooves are missing. Because, whoops. And so this piece that's center frame right, that is the floor of the tower, and that is why I figured it was better to just go ahead and glue the door on, because there was no way that I was going to be able to actually interact with that portion. on the inside. This is me trying to glue the corner decorations back on after tearing them off. I found 2 of the 3 that I tore off. The other one, like I said, was at this moment, unbeknownst to me, several feet behind me. It wound up a full 10 feet behind my desk. I got out the tape measure and measured it. So we are moving on to, there is step 6. And now that that particular comedy of errors is over, things move a little bit smoother. I don't run into quite as many explosions of pure ineptitude. Gluing on what wound up being the supports for the roof. And so now, step 9, we are assembling the roof. And this is super simple. It's the 2 roof slats with 2 supports, and I don't recall if the tongue and grooves gave me trouble on this particular roof or not. Nope. Well, not so far. Super sped up bit. It doesn't take me that long to get through the roof. It's just 4 pieces, but it is done off camera because the screen is currently taken up with the main piece. And that's it. And here we are moving into step 10, step 10, 11. We're putting the roof on the tower. Beginning that process. And that is where it wants you to stop working on that part instead of finishing the roof. They move that to a wildly different step. We're actually going to take a break from roofs and start working on the chapel annex. And you can see, of course, it has come unglued. And now we are starting on the walls for the chapel, the annex, chapel annex. And this is a multi-part nightmare. It looks good, but it's finicky. And at this point, the top-down view is kind of working against me. It's a little difficult to see what's actually going on. In step 13, we put these 5 slats in vertically. Because most of these parts are put in vertically, it's kind of hard to see. So we put in the 5 interior slats. They kind of make they add some depth to the wall, to the windows. And then we put the outside panels on before putting, I guess, the wall capture. I don't know. Here, step 14, once it suggests that you put those 5 outside pieces onto the roof first, and then put the roof down on top. But the roof slots into the wall beside it as well, and I didn't see how that was going to work. So I attached the outer walls of the annex to the base, and then attached the roof to the wall and then pushed the base with the walls attached up into it. And this is 5 or 10. I can't remember if the inner slats also connect. It looks like they don't. So this wound up being like 5 tongue and grooves that could kind of flex a little bit, and so that little portion just a second ago was me kind of wrestling with it, getting all 5 into the holes. And so now we're assembling this roof piece for the annex that a cardboard, a small cardboard piece will kind of wrap around. So this is a form, an interior skeleton for the cardboard roof of the annex. It's actually, this one is kind of ingenious. It's 4 pieces that they all have slightly different grooves cut into them so that they all sit, they only fit together one way. It forms like a kind of a star pattern. And so now the roof is made up of 5 little cardboard slats. They fit into little tiny grooves in the MDF flat roof portion. And then they get glued onto the skeleton. So basically, I'm putting them into the slats with a tiny bit of glue, and then I'm gluing them onto the skeleton, and then I'm going to hold them there until they dry. And then this little piece of MDF right above my hand to the right is like a crown piece, I guess. It covers some of the it covers the tongue and groove that you're not supposed to see. Just like corner pieces on other kits and stuff like that. They try to hide the tongue and groove if it's not decorative. What I was showing you is these little tiny cardboard pieces. They have to be very carefully scored with a knife. I cut myself. That's why I'm saying please be careful. They are tiny, and they cover the gaps between the 5 slats. There are 4 of them. I cut myself open, which is that little stoppage of me grabbing the bottle of super glue was to stop my finger from bleeding. And there we go. Here, a set of needle nose pliers helps with this one, because what you can do is put half of it in there, and then you can bend the other half along the metal, and you'll have a good straight edge. You could use a metal ruler or something like that, too, if you don't have a set of needle nose pliers. And you can see how these are supposed to go. And I'm kind of just laying them on. My fingers do start to stick. And this step is not in the instructions. It'd be after step 17. I don't know if these were added after the fact or what, but they weren't in the instructions. So here I am pointing out that we are working on putting the slats in the windows of the tower, and they slot in this is step 18. I found myself putting a little bit of glue up above the window as well as down on the slots themselves, just because they kind of wanted to flex out into the middle of the tower. And steady up a bit while I put these last few in. And there we go. And now we are putting on the roof of the tower, which is another scored piece of cardboard. This one is much bigger, and so it's quite a bit easier to do without hurting yourself. Once again, it's going to fit over a MDF skeleton, which I'm once again doing off camera. What are you doing, Tyler? What are you doing with your life? There we go. A little bit of glue in the corner just to make it stick together. And that completes step 19. Step 20 is to put these little rails on the roof. They are decoration to cover the tongue and grooves of the roof area. That more or less. So, okay, so here I am putting on these little cardboard slats, which do the same thing to the chapel annex. They cover up the tongue and groove sets. And now we are starting to work on details, gribblies. We've got these little MDF rails that are going to break up some of this kind of blank MDF in the tower. And there are, sure enough, 3 different kinds for the 3 sides, so make sure you keep them separated. And you can see that this time I actually did dry fit it, and then I just put a little bit of glue on after the fact. So now for step 23. We are putting these little facade columns. They cover the corners of the tower, and they cover, they split up these middle sections. I would start with the way I started by putting on the door frame, which has 2 columns on it already. This helps kind of give you a guide. Honestly, I would, before you put the rails on, I would get a straight edge and make yourself some straight lines so you know exactly where to put them, because mine are a little wonky. And again, I'm going to speed through this part because the spot I'm working on, I do try and let you guys see what's going on, but the spot I'm working on is not really going to be on camera for most of it. I try to hold it up as I finish each side, but because it's sped up, you're not going to really see a whole lot of it. I'll only be holding it up for like a second or 2 on camera since it's at 4 times acceleration. That's 2 sides done. I mean, it goes fairly quick for the sheer number of parts that you're putting on. And this covers This will get us to the end of step 23. Now, step 24, there are 2 windows at the back of the chapel that have spots for slats, so we're going to put those in. And then we're going to move on to the last bits. We need to put these, God, I don't know what they're called. It's like ribbing on the walls. They're buttresses? Buttresses? I think that's what they're called. Flying buttresses? Buttresses? I don't know how to pronounce them. But they are a single part that's held vertically, and then a little like decorative widget around the bottom portion. And hey, I actually did a camera transition fairly calmly. As usual, every half hour, roughly half an hour, I need to stop the camera and turn it back on. And I did a much better job of this. There's been 2 so far that were kind of calm, quiet, without being quite so broken up. You can see that I showed you the corners, which are a little bit more complicated just because they have to go around the corner. But the corner buttresses are the parts that I tore off. But we're gonna make it work. And okay, so I have finished the building proper. Now we are working on the pews. It comes with a bunch of them, and I have not actually glued them down. I do not know if I'm going to or not. I certainly will not be gluing them down until after I paint them and the floor. I haven't decided yet. My friend and I, while we do play Bolt Action, we've been playing Tank War, which is right now we're not fielding any infantry at all, and so all of these buildings are basically just for looks at this point. They're for fighting around, not fighting in, but at some point I would like to have infantry, and so it may be advantageous to me to not glue the pews down to the floor so that I can shift them around a little bit if minis are supposed to be in one spot or another. But once we finish this, we'll be pretty much done. This is the last step in the instructions, step 25. So once we get these done, I guess there's 6 of them. We will switch over to the turntable and wrap it up in just a few more seconds. Yep, 6 of them. And this is the chapel. Sorry for the handheld cam again. It's too big for my stand. This is a good kit. It would have been better if I didn't screw it up so bad. Stay tuned. We're gonna start painting these things. Until next time, if you like it, please like, share, subscribe. I'm Tyler, and this has been my tabletop. And I will see you guys soon.